yard goat, yard jockey. So this person is basically gonna be taking care of everything that's out in the yard. They're gonna be basically commanding that yard. It's basically theirs at the end of the day. And they're pretty much organizing all the trailers and containers. You know, believe it or not, there is a way to be running a yard. As far as, because you have to understand that there's a lot of different drivers that are gonna come in with a lot of different types of loads. You know, there are live loads, there are drops. There's guys that are gonna come in for empty containers. There's guys that are gonna come in just to what else? What are some other things that people would come in for? I know there has to be one more thing. It's drops, live loads, pickup containers, drop off containers, I guess you could say as well. But people that are gonna come in from the ports, people that come in for pallets, for what do you call it? For Petco and Chet pallets, or for white pallets, just for regular wooden pallets. So there's a lot to kind of keep in mind. When it comes to all that. Sometimes there's companies that work there, like already big companies. I've seen Premier, JB Hunt, but on the side there's a yard jockey that's basically controlling all of those yards. And you always want to give direction as a yard jockey. I've worked with some yard jockeys that are very good at what they do, and really going in and being able to command the yard, and being able to know where to have the empties, where to have the fulls, where to have the ones that are ready to unload, how to set your dock doors, how to make sure to move what to where, being in communications with the managers and supervisors, just anything along that line, knowing that there's always going to be new drivers that are going to be coming into that yard, and you just kind of have to get to know them, because I would say that in the long run, those truck drivers, they maybe except the guys doing the live loads, but the dudes that are going to be coming in picking up trailers or containers, containers from the ports and trailers from from drops and stuff like that. Those are the guys that are going to be coming in regularly. And there's just so many different ways to do it, when it comes to being a yard jockey. But for the most part, it's whenever you need a trailer moved from one door to another. Because when it comes to live loads, the guy that's there with that trailer, he's gonna go ahead and take his own trailer. So you just the yard jockey just kind of can go chomp it up with them at the end of the day. There's nothing to do around the yard where everything's up to date, but you always want to help out the person that's doing the yard check as well, to let them know if there's anything out of place, or if anything's gonna be a little different within the next couple of hours. But as far as inspecting your truck, I don't know too much about this, but I know that they do daily inspection checks on their truck, and make sure everything's up to par, and make sure that it's okay to drive, and just kind of make sure that everything's safe to go ahead and drive it. And some of these tractor trailers, they share them, so they disinfect them and make sure that everything's good from the person that used it from the night before. A lot of people have their own and nobody uses it, and that's fine, but at the end of the day, you want to go ahead and double check, because honestly, I've been to warehouses that they're in desperate need of one that night, and the least person you expect knows exactly what he's doing, and he goes out and moves that fucking trailer, and that shit's fucking sick, to be honest. I'm not even gonna lie, like, that shit's very cool. There's a lot of homeboys with a lot of hidden talents out there that that do that and that can do that. You know, I got the opportunity with a homeboy that I was working at a warehouse with, and he really wanted me to learn. But to be honest, I'm not really too fond of driving in the first place. Like you know, I'm grateful to God I can drive, but I prefer not to. And when he tried to teach me, all I gotta say is my respects to the yard goats, to the truck drivers. It's not as easy as it looks. That shit looks hard, and it is hard. And you know, it's a little different when you're out there and you're in the yard jockey, you know the truck, and you know it's winter time and it's mad cold as hell. You know what I mean? And you're out there moving trailers, or it's hot as hell in the summer. You know. But yeah, you always just want to kind of keep a lookout out as well in the yard. Sometimes there may be people that are just walking around, people doing the yard check or things like that. So you do always want to just keep that in mind. And you know, people basically are coming into your yard. So you know, if you see something that happens, you know, you want to make sure that at least you know about it, and then you handle it the way it should be handled. But yeah, man, shout out to the yard jockeys. They're dope ass people. And then there's a lot of yard jockeys that are very, you know, multi-talented, and that they're actually cross-trained to work inside the warehouse and outside the warehouse. So shout out if you actually do both of that, because that's pretty dope. You know, being able to go in and out. I see a lot of maintenance guys that know how to do that. You know, a lot of guys that work in the loading dock as well. So that's always pretty cool. And you know, it's always funny when truck drivers from the live loads come and leave their metal bars, and they forget them, and then they're already halfway back to their next pickup, and then they forget and they just leave them, and then you know, some fools over here selling these fucking metal bars to the next live truck driver. So you know, just remember to take your metal bars with you when you first come and do the live loads. That's hilarious. But yeah, shout out to the yard jockeys, because it's also a lot of consolidating, making sure that, you know, because if you have people that are going to be coming to pick up empty containers from the ports, you have all those on the side or in the front. Because if you have them all in the back and then you start consolidating, you start congesting, you know, full traders in front of them, when they start coming to pick those containers up, it's just going to be one big mess. So, you know, there's always a correct way to be doing everything, because believe me, I don't care what yard it is, it's going to come to the point when there's just a shitload of containers and trailers out there, and it's just packed. You know, it is a lot different though if you are unloading containers by hand. That's when it normally does get more hectic. But yeah, you always want to make sure that, you know, everything's just organized, and you kind of have an idea of what the yard's going to be looking like, and what to expect, and you know what containers handle what. Because sometimes you got to put reefers, which are refrigerated trailers, on one side, you know, so there's another. Then you can put the flatbeds on another one. Then you put the regular trailers. Then you put the containers. Then you put the longer containers, because some containers are bigger than others. You got the 20-foot ones. I think it's the 53 and then the 57. But you know, it just, once again, it all depends on the yard jockey and the way he likes to handle his yard. And you know, let me see if there's anything. It just always really feels nice to go out and be in the fucking yard. It's always something cool, especially in the morning, like waking up and being able to walk around and seeing this food back up the trailer. Like if you're a lead and shit, I always thought that shit was fucking cool. Like you ain't in there fucking picking, but I mean, for most of the years I was. So Other than that, if you like this video, once again, I'm just gonna try to do as much as I can. I'm gonna try to keep posting up today as much as possible, but I'll just try to get into more detail if I can do another video on yard jockeying and on that. Thank you.